Hey guys, it's Ghost with Combat Sports Supply, and today we're going to be going over the M1918 A2 BAR. So, the BAR was first introduced at the end of World War I by Browning himself to the government for consideration. It is called the Browning Automatic Rifle and was very readily adopted as the infantry weapon to supply automatic fire for squads of infantry. Now, this gun was used in World War I, but is most widely known for its use in World War II. It was also used in the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and was widely used by police forces, specifically the FBI and gangsters during the Prohibition. If you'd like to know more about this, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. In the comment section, ask any questions you want to know about this that we don't cover in the video, and we'll get back to you. The version of it we have here is the S&T version. It is currently marketed under Matrix, but they are the same gun. And we have the real wood version. There is an imitation wood one, but I would recommend getting the real wood. Now, this gun is marketed as limited edition. It isn't truly limited edition. They say that because they make them about once a year. If you want one and they're not currently in stock, be sure to pre-order it because it will come in. It might be a while, but you will get one, and they ship based on the number of orders they have. As far as the construction of this, your shoulder brace is made out of steel, the butt plate is aluminum, you have your real wood stock, an aluminum receiver, but a steel rear sight, which is fully adjustable for windage and elevation, and a steel trigger group. However, the rest of this is all going to be aluminum. Moving forward on the gun, your door is steel, your carry handle is steel, you've got your front wood handguard, the barrel itself and the gas tube are aluminum, the shield for your front sight is steel, and the entire bipod assembly is steel. Sling points, the mounts for them are steel, but the actual brackets are aluminum, and your mag release is actually steel. So to release the magazine, you're going to push that pin forward. It releases the catch and you can pull the magazine out. When you want to put the mag back in, it just slides in and locks. So this is your bolt assembly. You'd pull this back. That opens this door and it gives you access to your AK style hop up, which is a slide bar. So you will adjust your hop up there. When you're done adjusting it, just let go. Now, unlike most LMGs you'll find on the market, the more modern ones, the fact that it has the steel carry handle means you're less likely to warp or break this. It also has the real wood handle on it. But to save weight, both this carry handle and a lot of times they'd remove the bipod because the bipod is steel and it's pretty heavy. Now, one of the few odd things about this gun is this bipod is on a free-floating bearing. So you got to be careful when you set it down on the bipod because the gun just rotates 180 degrees each direction. If you had it off the ground, it could rotate 360 degrees. Now, you may have noticed from our previous videos that this gun is pretty big. It's actually just under 4 feet long. It's almost as big as the mat we use for our counter. It's also fairly heavy. It's not the heaviest thing in the world because they switched out a lot of the steel to aluminum, but it is kind of bulky to use. This is kind of awkward right now because I've got to make sure the handle's rotated out of the way and the bipod's just kind of floating around out there. That's a lot of the reason why people would remove them in combat. Now, the other side of these guns is there's a lot of bolts and stuff in them, and you constantly need to make sure they're tight. You'll notice the bipod's already loose, and we haven't even really used this one yet. It's just the nature of these guns. You got to make sure you tighten everything down every time you use it. Now, one of the other issues with the tightening of everything is this stock. As you can see, it already wobbles a little bit. This one is new out of the box. Just in shipping, it wiggled a little loose. However, to get to those, if you've done any research on these guns at all, you have to remove the upper because the screws go from the receiver side into the stock. A couple other things about the bipod to be aware of. It is a pull-seat push-lock bipod, so to rotate it, you have to pull it out. To seat it anywhere, you have to push it back into its notch or directly up against the flat face so it won't rotate on its own. It is removable. There are a couple of ways you can do it. You can completely remove these wing nuts, which would allow you to remove this top plate in its entirety and then pull the bipod off if you wanted to leave the lug on. Otherwise, you have to remove the muzzle device, which will allow this whole unit to come off as a single piece. Now, if you wanted to remove the carry handle, you'll see these two Allen nuts here. You're just gonna unscrew them. It's kind of a wafer setup in here, so there's multiple pieces of metal, but once it's apart, it'll come into 2 to 4 pieces, and you can peel it off of the barrel. Now, as far as the magazine on this is concerned, out of the box it comes with a high cap mag. It's 190 rounds. The internals are okay. There is a better option out there, but you kind of have to do it yourself. The best thing to do is to remove all of the internals of this mag and replace it with a G&P M16 mid cap. As far as the replacement is concerned, you'll notice that it's pretty deep seated. The internals are actually about the size of the G&P M16A1 mid cap, the Vietnam style one. To get into it, you'd remove this screw. This whole plate would slide off the bottom, and the internals come out the bottom. When you go to put the G&P internals in this, it's not going to be a one-to-one fit, but it'll go in the same way you took the old one out and reassembled the same way, but it will require some modification to get it all to fit and line up properly with the access holes in the plate in the top. As far as the fire selector on this is concerned, every once in a while you'll get one where this pin sits out a little too far and you have to push it to get it to rotate over it. Otherwise it's completely locked out. So you may have noticed there are 3 selector positions on this. There's your safe position, which it's currently in. There are 2 other ones, but the selector actually doesn't select between the 2 of them on the Airsoft version. In the real world version, there is the slow automatic fire, and then the I need to empty my magazine right now fast automatic fire. The battery for the BAR goes in its stock. Now, it does have an access hole, but 99 times out of 100, you're not going to be able to get the battery through that and get it plugged in or anything. You're generally going to have to remove the whole thing, which involves removing the 2 screws. It's not that big of a deal. Just make sure you don't lose them. Now, I know most of you might want to run this on an 11.1, but the manufacturer recommends a 9.6, so I wouldn't go more than a 7.4 in it for a LiPo, because it accentuates the feeding problems when you over-ramp the engines. For any of you that were wondering why it has this hole in the bottom of the stock, the A2 was designed to be shipped with a monopod that could be put in here to balance out the bipod for more use as a squad automatic weapon. The BAR out of the box is generally shooting 360 to 400 FPS with .2s, as rated by the manufacturer. However, while it does have its own unique gearbox, it runs all version 2 parts, so it is easily and readily upgradable. It does run the short type V2 gearbox, so it does run a short motor instead of the long shaft motor.
So I've always been partial to the BAR. My grandfather carried one in the Pacific in World War II, 27th Infantry Division, U.S. Army, and I just always liked the gun. It's really cool. It's unique. There's really nothing else like it out there, so I had to get the Airsoft one. This is the first one I got. It's the S&T. I removed the carry handle for weight and also the bipod. I left this part of the bipod on because when it's in the up position, it kind of makes a ghost ring, which I like. It looks kind of cool. But it's a great gun. It's a lot of fun to play with. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of options for BARs in Airsoft, but it's a great replica. It does have some feeding issues, which we went over. They work better with the modified magazines. Like we mentioned earlier, you do have to tighten basically everything on this every time, or things will start to rattle loose. This is a whole lot of gun, it's a whole lot of metal, a whole lot of wood, and it just starts to come apart. So you got to tighten it religiously. If you don't, things will start to fall off and you'll start having issues with it. But if you do, it's a great gun. And it's a lot of fun, great for a World War II impression, Korea, World War I, Vietnam, and it's just a classic Browning automatic rifle.
Don't be a fool!